Live for episode 132 of the Wise Guys podcast. I am your host, as always, Brandon Capozziello, and here with me today, special guest Q from the Next Man Up podcast. Go check that out. The links are in the description. Go follow him on Twitter. Go subscribe to their channel over on YouTube, and subscribe to us while you are here. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that little notification bell to be notified. Share the content. Like the videos, and comment along with us and tell us what you think about the topics we're going to discuss today. And the topics we are going to discuss today are: is this Dak Prescott's final year as a Dallas Cowboy? Is this the San Francisco 49ers year where they finally break through and win the championship? Has Bill Belichick been exposed over these past couple of years without Tom Brady? I'm going to give you my top 5 teams in the NFL right now before week 6, I believe it is. And then week 6, pick them. We're going to get into that. And then maybe towards the end, we're going to get into the ESPN 11 through 50 NBA players coming into this season. That'll be fun to react to. But before we get to all of that, Q, how you doing this fine Thursday morning, October 12th, 2023?
Man, I'm invigorated. I'm up. I'm excited. Good topics on the list. Crazy topics. Couple very controversial things. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and listen, let's not beat around the bush. Let's get right into it and dive into it, right? Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys suffered a horrific loss this past Sunday night on Sunday Night Football in prime time to the San Francisco 49ers. Their arch rival, I guess you want to say. 42-10 was the final score of the game. Just absolutely dog walked. The 49ers did, the Cowboys. And there's been a lot of discussion coming up to today. So it's only fair that we discuss. And I'm going to throw it to you, Q, first. Is this Dak Prescott's final year as a Dallas Cowboy?
It could be. And it's something to do with his play or his level of, his status as, his rank as a quarterback, but a lot to do with the contract. He's due for an extension. Since they franchise tagged him already, he can't get franchised again. So that means this year, you either extend them and try and lessen that cap hit, or next year you take that $60 million cap hit. 9 times out of 10, you won't win the Super Bowl again, and you got to restart again with a quarterback, especially right now when this is a good quarterback class coming in. But you also don't want to let Dak Prescott walk out of here in 2 years he'd be 31, 32-year-old fringe top 10 quarterback, just, hitting the market. It's like the same thing with Kirk Cousins. It's going to happen to him this year. Just a prime quarterback. These quarterbacks play to 40, 41, 42, so you still got 10 more years left of, top 10-ish quarterback play. And he could walk to any team that's basically a quarterback away. We've seen what if Baker Mayfield's balling on the Buccaneers right now? You swap Baker Mayfield out for Dak Prescott, it probably looks a lot better. You're allowing him to basically walk to any team, get a good number, and that team probably is ready to go, try to go win something, probably in your own conference. But the whole reset, get a quarterback on a rookie deal, build a team around him, it's too enticing right now. It's up in the air. But you don't know if that rookie quarterback is going to be that good. You might have to take your lumps, and you'll still get the same ridicule that you've been getting for the past 25 years. So do you want to stay not relevant, because they're more than relevant? They're a second-round team at least. Or that's better than being the Steelers or the Vikings that are 8-8. 8-9, whatever it is now, to be mid, not bad enough to get a good draft pick, but not good enough to make no real noise. They're a step ahead of that. Do you want to stay there? Or do you really want to have a chance to compete? If they're just they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, listen, I don't think it's going to be Dak's last year. I think Dak is going to stick around as a Dallas Cowboy, and I think the main reason for that is who you get and that's better. That'd
be my argument.
Exactly.
Who else is there?
You want Kirk Cousins? I mean, they're basically similar. You're basically just kind of you're not going trading like Dak's down here and Kirk's up here, and you're trading that. No, you're kind of just flip
Their
flopping.
career, I think their career stats are like identical,
Almost identical. Yeah, they're very similar quarterbacks. Like I would take Dak slightly over Kirk, but we're splitting hairs there, to be honest with you. So you got that, right? You also got this kid looming that they traded, I think it was a 4th round or 5th round pick for.
Yeah, Trey.
Former 3rd overall pick, Mr. Trey Lance. There's people pounding the desk for Trey Lance to take over. I think that is going to end abysmal if you start Trey Lance. I think, listen, is there a reason why Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan put these two football genius minds together and we're like, we like this kid Trey Lance. Only seeing a year of real tape in college, but we like this kid Trey Lance. And they took him 3rd overall. They traded the house for him. Then they saw, after I think it was 2 years with them, 2.5 years, they saw stuff. And nobody's going to know Trey Lance better than those two guys, the Shanahans, because they see him every single day. So they obviously saw things and they were like, you're not the guy that we thought you were going to be. Also, obviously, there was this elephant in the room, Mr. Brock Purdy, who's balling out of his mind and playing, high-level football. So they were like, this is an easy switch off right here. It's not going to end well if the Dallas Cowboys go with Trey Lance. I'll just say that flat out. It's not going to end well. That's not going to be the move to make. They have a potential out at the end of this year in Dak's contract. They'll eat $61 million, basically $62 million in dead cap, right? But they'll save a good amount of money because they won't have 3 more years, I guess, on the contract. But like you said, I think an extension is coming. I think they'll probably negotiate, push the money down the line, and that'll work out. But I do want to say this. Dak is a quarterback that can be a part of a Super Bowl run. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, yes, do you need a team around him to help elevate him as well? 100%. He is not a Burrow. He's not a Brady. He's not a Mahomes. He's not one of those guys, right? Rodgers. He's a Tony Romo. He's Matt Ryan was better than him, but, a little bit lower than Matt Ryan. He's better than Joe Flacco, kind of. Joe Flacco showed up in the playoffs a lot more, especially that one run. But he's like in that conversation. So you need, obviously, a great defense around him and good offensive players around him. But, and one more point, and then I'll throw it off to you, and you can respond to anything that you want to respond to here. Whoever said Dak was great, like you kind of alluded to it, but before the show when we were talking, Q. Whoever said Dak Prescott was great? Like whoever put Dak in that top 5 category? Because you got people talking like Dak Prescott's got to do the, right? He's getting the money. He's getting paid that. Listen, him and his agent, like Skip Bayless said, we were talking a little bit that before the show. Skip Bayless said, Dak and his agent took Jerry to the cleaners and the bank in that contract negotiations. All right. And he's getting paid like that and he's got to perform. We also got to realize this guy broke his freaking leg in half and had a terrible injury. Then last year, broke one of his fingers on his throwing hand and came back. He's had some down play, but I'm going to get to the real reason behind all this. But Q, what do you got? Anything you'd like to respond to that I said right there?
Exactly. Who said he's great? Like nobody said that. Outside of the top, I'm gonna say top 8 quarterbacks in the league. Those are the quarterbacks that can rise above certain situations. Mm-hmm. Everybody after that, you need the perfect situation around them so that way they're just plug and play. Like the 49ers. The 49ers are a plug and play team.
Yeah.
Like I'm not people think like I'm a Brock Purdy. I'm not a Brock Purdy hater. It's just whatever deficiencies we saw from Jimmy G, we understood that. But the stats didn't say that, especially last year. Mm-hmm. 10 games from Jimmy G and the 10 games from Brock Purdy, almost identical stats. Because it's not hard to put. You could put probably any top quarterback in the top 20, and they probably perform the same because it's hard to fail in that system, on that team, on that roster.
Yeah.
That's just what you have to do. Kirk Cousins could come in there and do the same thing. He's done it before with the same system, same coach. Dak Prescott, you put him on the 49ers, those mistakes probably are less. And Dak Prescott's not even a big mistake guy. He's a top 10, lowest interception rate of all time. He's up there. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. It just gets highlighted because he's on the Cowboys.
Yes.
And then, playoff moments. But those playoff moments came from the 49ers. Most
Yep.
quarterbacks, you need the system around them. Matt Ryan wasn't no world beater.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had the perfect system, perfect coach. Again, same coach.
Yep.
And got there. I just think, like, when you ball out, like, Dak Prescott, for the 4 years before he got the deal, he went 13-3 rookie year, went head to head with Aaron Rodgers, basically damn near won the game if it wasn't for a Hail Mary by Jordy, I think, on the sideline to set up a field goal for the win.
Oh no, Jared Cook Jr.
See, look,
that was a fucking insane throw too. Yep.
I watched. That was like one of the probably best playoff games I've seen from him, and that was his rookie year.
Yep.
Next year it wasn't so good, but the weapons was bad. It was Dez on his last leg. You got Jason Witten on his last legs.
Yeah.
Bad year. The very next year, they started off bad. Then they got Amari Cooper. They won 10 games straight, won a playoff game. And then the next year after that, he went, he did 4,900 yards. He was second in the league in yards that year.
Yep.
30 touchdowns, 11 picks. You got to pay him.
That was a phenomenal year.
You got to pay him.
You got to pay him.
Well, the situation was great, but he balled out.
Yeah.
That's just what happens. You get paid that money.
Mm-hmm. So here's the real crux of the situation, right? Because everybody's talking Dak. Dak's got to go. Dak's this, Dak that, right? But I think the real issue, the guy that's lurking behind the curtain that nobody's really pointing at and saying he's been the reason this Cowboys team has been relevant for the past however many years, since 1988, I believe, when he took over, 1989. Okay. This guy's been hiding around the curtain. It's Mr. Jerry Jones. All right. For all the greatness Jerry Jones brings to this Dallas Cowboys team, right? Relevancy, willing to pay the money, right? I remember this quote vividly. Jerry Jones said, "I'd write a blank check to win another Super Bowl." Now, either you're lying or your football IQ is not what you think it is. Because the real reason the Dallas Cowboys haven't taken that next step, the real true reason, is the head coaches. Since Jimmy Johnson, right? And Jimmy Johnson, this has been out there and you can look it up and stuff. Jimmy and Jerry started going head to head. Jerry wanted to start getting more credit. He didn't like the credit Jimmy was getting and all that. He wanted more credit. Got Jimmy out of there, brought in Barry Switzer, won a Super Bowl, and then guess what? That was the last one they've won. They haven't seen once in the last 27 years. They brought in Bill Parcells in the mid-2000s. Bill Parcells, great head coach, Hall of Fame head coach. He got sick and tired of it and said, "Jerry, I can't take it anymore. I can't take you anymore." Then who comes in? Mr. 8-8 himself, Mr. Jason Garrett, the puppet himself, and that's no disrespect, but he was that. He was a guy that Jerry could basically be like, "Yeah, you're going to stay in line, and I basically run the team." Finally, things came to fruition, and he had to go. There was no more hiding behind it. Jason Garrett was a solid head coach, but he obviously was somebody that was not going to get them over the hump. Then Jerry makes a decision and brings in Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, the guy who has a great record. If you look at his career record, it is phenomenal. I think he's got less than 100 losses in his entire. It's great. You want to know why it's great? He's had Brett Favre and Aaron freaking Rodgers. Okay. He takes a year off of football after he was fired from the Green Bay Packers. And what was the big quote from Aaron Rodgers around that time? The offense was archaic. It's stale. It's not moving with the times. Mike McCarthy comes back, takes a year off, and says, "I've learned from my ways. I've reworked, things that I need to rework. I'm ready to do this." I guess Jerry buys in, or Jerry is just like, "I'm not going after the two guys that I'm about to name in a second, who are the real people he should have went after that would have made a real difference." And he went with Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy has failed. Mike McCarthy didn't do that well last year. In terms of just any clock management, being a head coach, he's a terrible motivator. He's terrible motivator. He doesn't motivate us anything. He gets rid of Kellen Moore, and I understand why he gets rid of Kellen Moore. He got rid of Kellen Moore because he didn't want to be fired for somebody else's work. If he was going to go down, he was going to call the offensive plays. That was the reason Kellen Moore had to go. And you're seeing that come to fruition now. Mike McCarthy's calling the offensive plays. And I just heard Mr. Dan Orlovsky, who's a bright mind in the football world, say the offense is still archaic. It's the same thing he's been running for the past 10 plus years. It's the same stuff. And obviously that's not that movie. You're looking at, you can go look at the numbers. Dak Prescott with Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott now, they've scored 9 touchdowns in 5 games. You think that
They were number one scoring offense.
Yep. Go look at what the Chargers are doing right now with Kellen Moore. Justin Herbert is playing, and I predicted this. Justin Herbert's going to have his career year under Kellen Moore because they're going to light it up. But here's the main crux of the point. The 2 guys that Jerry should have went to go get that would have made this difference. One guy is coaching the NFL currently in a terrible situation. The other guy is down in college.
Oh yeah, I know you. Yeah.
Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh. Okay. Sean Payton wanted to come to Dallas. The rumors were out there. Jerry didn't want to give up a first round pick for Sean Payton. That was the real reason he didn't want to do it. You know who they drafted this year in the first? Mozzie Smith. He's done F all this entire. He's done nothing. So basically, there would have been no difference. You would have just had Sean Payton, and then Jim Harbaugh, a guy who I believe was unceremoniously kicked out of the league by the Niners because the front office and him started butting heads, and obviously things were going a little downhill, but you saw what he was able to do with the 49ers, who were a poor franchise in the 2000s, were able to revive Alex Smith's career and make people look at Alex Smith like he wasn't a bust anymore and bring Colin Kaepernick to this fruition. These are the 2 guys Jerry should have went after. Now there's a chance I'm going to say this and then I'll throw it to you, Q, because I've obviously said a lot of long-winded. This is going to be Mike McCarthy's final year in Dallas. He's gone at season's end. I don't see them getting rid of Dak. I see them getting rid of Mike McCarthy, which they should have got rid of him last year, but they're just going to get rid of him this year. You get rid of Mike McCarthy, you pick up the phone, and you call 2 people. You call the Denver Broncos and say, are you willing to make a trade for Sean Payton? And if you don't want to do that or they're not willing to do it, you call up Jim Harbaugh and you say, we got a deal. I don't know why the hell that's popping up. We got a deal for you. We want Jim Harbaugh. We want you. Come coach the Dallas Cowboys. What do you say about that, Q?
Jim Harbaugh, if any sport, like if it's any NFL team, any college team, if you need a coach to coach the team, no matter what, like any team you want, Jim Harbaugh is the guy. He can coach anybody. Like Alex Smith, Kaepernick. Kaepernick is exactly what J.J. McCarthy was 2 years ago. Can move, good enough arm, not great arm. We just going to put some confidence in you. We're going to make sure the team is like, he builds running games. He's good on special teams. Like he's just the ultimate coach. He could coach anybody, coach anywhere. That's what the Cowboys need. They need real coaching. Thing is, if they fire Mike McCarthy, it's going to be tough. Like, they having Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn stayed there for the hope that he do get that job when Mike McCarthy get fired. So that's gonna look a little weird. Sean Payton, I think the amount of money they gave him, I think they're gonna have to hold on to him. Like they rather let go of Russ before they let go of Sean Payton, especially they think they could get a uber quarterback within this draft or next draft. So it's like, why not just let him get the rest of the time on the contract? It's just Jay Jones, he has too much input onto the team. Like, don't get me wrong, he hits on his draft pick. On certain draft picks, he hit on Micah, he hit on CD, he's hit on DeMarcus.
But if you remember this, that's more been Stephen Jones over the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Jerry wanted to take Johnny Manziel. Jerry wanted to take Manziel, and Stephen was like, no, we're taking Zach Martin. And thank God, because you got a first ballot Hall of Famer in Zach Martin. But Jerry wanted to take him. He just recently said he wanted to take Jalen Hurts too. He was thinking about taking Jalen. So listen, I think obviously I don't think Sean Payton's in the work right now. I don't think that's going to happen.
But you still make the call.
You make the call. The call. But I think Jim Harbaugh is a live candidate. He was going to be the Vikings head coach before that kind of fell apart.
He was already at the door of the league. Like
he was right there.
Chargers, the Vikings. He had options. He could have got here.
So now once McCarthy's gone, they're going to need a head coach. And I hear you with Dan Quinn, but I don't think Dan Quinn is the answer for this as a
It
head
needs to be
coach.
offense. Like you
Yeah,
need an offensive. At least if you're not gonna get a great offensive mind, get a dude like John Harbaugh. I mean Jim
yep,
Harbaugh. It's one or
Jim
the other.
Harbaugh. Yep.
Like you
But
feel me? One.
I will say this about Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, I think he's very comfortable in his role right now. I don't know if he really wants to be a head coach right now. Maybe in the future, or maybe he doesn't want to do it again. He's getting paid like a head coach, I can tell you that much.
Yeah,
So I mean,
basically.
why not stay in Dallas, huge market? You love the team loves you, Jerry loves you, Jerry's paying you very, very well, and you don't get that much scrutiny because you're the DC, not the HC. So it's kind of a win-win. It's kind of like a backup quarterback there, win-win. I don't really get any blame. I just chill, and then maybe I come in there and I can save the day sometimes. But I think, yeah, and to wrap this segment all up, I'm hearing a lot about this, right? Physicality. The Cowboys aren't physical enough. The 49ers just they punked them. They punched them in the face, and the Cowboys folded. If it's physicality, there's a guy out there that's a free agent right now. I know he's like 34, 35 years old. But there is a guy over the past 10 years, you ain't going to say there's been a guy more physically imposing than this man, and that man is Ndamukong Suh. If you're looking for physicality and your physicality is being questioned, you go get a guy like Ndamukong Suh to be that veteran presence and be that physical force. And he'll be much better than what you got at the defensive tackle right now. Obviously, he's not going to play, however many snaps the entire game. He's going to come in certain packages. But if you want physicality, you bring in a guy like Ndamukong Suh. But the defense is not the same since Trevon Diggs went down. I believed it was the best defense in football when Trevon Diggs was healthy. You lose Trevon, that kind of makes the entire defense fall apart. He's not only the heart and soul, he's the best cornerback on that team, the second best defensive player on that defense. Here's another thing, possibly trading for Patrick Surtain, if you want
Yes.
to
Yeah.
hold that up.
They're selling right now. They're
Yep.
selling, and they're gonna sell the house.
Yeah, so I think that's a possible move if you want to do that. But I think the Cowboys right now got to stick to their guns, go through the season, see where they end up. They'll be in the playoffs. I don't want to hear this. They're not making the playoffs now.
Yeah,
Let's
that's silly
the
notion.
NFC is weak as hell. It's a weak ass conference. The Cowboys are making the playoffs, people. I will say we will get to their obviously Monday Night Football, which is a big major game for them because they cannot really afford to lose that game. If they do, that's going to be a major problem for them. But I guess to wrap up that topic, Q, me and you are both in agreement. Dak Prescott should not be the guy on his way out in Dallas. And if there's going to be a guy that's going to be on his way out, it's Mr. Mike McCarthy.
For sure.
So next up, we flip the page of that team and we talk about the team that came out on top of that team the past 3 years, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I've had an epiphany over the past couple of days. And I'll just say it now. The San Francisco 49ers are not only my favorites to go to the Super Bowl, I'm picking them to win the whole damn thing this year. There's not a team in sight that I see that can really compete with the San Francisco 49ers team. There's only one. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 1B. Top to bottom, these are the two most complete teams in all of football. But I still think the 49ers are just a smidge better than the Philadelphia Eagles. They are a well-oiled machine. The defense is top-notch. I mean, I'm just going to give you this. Like I said, since Diggs went down after week 2, I had the Cowboys as the best team in football the first 2 weeks of football. Since Diggs went down, the 49ers have been clearly the best team in all of the NFL. According to Pro Football Focus, Q, the San Francisco 49ers are rated second in offense to Miami and first in defense by a wide margin. This is a key stat that I love to watch throughout the year because it really tells you about, top tier teams and stuff. Turnover differential. The 49ers are +7. They're tied for first with the Bucs, who have only played 4 games, obviously. The 49ers have played 5. So what I'm saying, they take the ball away and they don't give it away. Brock Purdy has yet to throw an interception this entire season. Their two turnovers have been fumbles. This is the San Francisco 49ers year, Q. They will be in the Super Bowl. They will win the Super Bowl, barring any injuries. And obviously, injuries play a major factor in this sport. But barring that, the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl this year. This is Kyle Shanahan's year. The prodigal son of Mike Shanahan is finally going to deliver the trophy and finally live up to that hype of I am now a Super Bowl winning head coach.
It's not a hot take. It's a very
I know it's not. It's not.
based like based off all the information that we based off the first 5 weeks. Anybody saying that, you can't scoff at them. You can't look at them wrong. The defense obviously should be the best in the league. Offense, without a premier quarterback, which most great offenses have at least that top 10 guy at quarterback. They're running away with it. They might have the best offensive player in the league on their team. They definitely probably got the best offensive player in the conference. Brock Purdy might be getting MVP talks because he's a quarterback. CMC is the MVP of that team. Like the way they run, the way they score, the way their offense runs, everybody's open. Defense, everybody's getting after it. You talk about physicality. They're one of the most physical teams in the league. They have the best linebacking unit in the league. One of the best front sevens in the league. They have the defensive player of the year just 6 months ago on the team. Just got his money. He's fresh. Like, even though he don't got the sack numbers, the pressure's still there. Like, obviously you're doubling him, you're tripling him, you're chipping him, and they're still getting to you. Their back end doesn't have great names, but they have a true number one lockdown corner, Chardavius Ward. He basically took CeeDee Lamb out the game. CeeDee Lamb is one of the, probably the 10 best receivers in the league. They should be clearly the favorites in the league. And you said they're a smidge better than Philly. I think there's a good gap, only because Philly, the 5-0, it's not fraudulent, but they haven't played their best, and they should. By the end of the season, they probably will play their best. But their back end is successful. I think that's the word that you could throw on them.
Yeah.
Like, the front seven, but you could throw on them. If you have a moderately good quarterback, you're throwing on. Kirk Cousins just damn near threw for 400 on him.
Yep.
Whoever's Brock Purdy might be able to throw for. Brock Purdy went off against the Dallas Cowboys defense. Trayvon Diggs, yes, he wasn't there, but they're still a good defense. Like, they're gonna probably come out the next 3 games and leave people under 10.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the nature of that team, that coaching, the roster's the best in the league, but like, they're well oiled. They should be the favorites.
Yeah, and I'm not here. I hear you with the gap there. Listen, there's the Eagle, and I've said that the Eagles, it's not looked, pretty their first 5 weeks, right? It's been a rough 5 weeks for the Eagles. They're 5-0. I do like what Eli Manning said a couple of weeks ago, where he said, even when a team is not playing their best football, it's always good if you say they're still winning, though, right? And they haven't played their best football, and they will. And I can't wait for that matchup, Eagles versus 49ers later on in the year. We're going to get that matchup. I'm hoping and praying they're healthy and we can get it going, because obviously last year it was just, you got no quarterback to throw. Brock Purdy was out for that game, and it wasn't a game at all. And listen, the 49ers did a lot of talking before and after. They said, if we had our quarterback, it would have been a different story. They said the same thing about the Eagles defense that you just said. They said, we see stuff that we can take it. They're not as good as people say. That's what the word around town about the Eagles were last year. And it's kind of the same unit this year. Obviously, they've got Jalen Carter. This kid is absolutely an animal as a rookie, but for the most part, it's the same defense. And you saw the Kansas City Chiefs with no true number one receiver absolutely cook their asses, putting up 38 points on them. Right? Yeah, it was 38, right? Yeah, I think so. But yeah, we're in agreement, I guess. The San Francisco 49ers are the clear favorites. And I know you said it's not a hot take at all. I know it's not, but
no, I'm just saying, on some, if you would have said that 3 weeks ago, people would have gave you some fight, some pushback. But now it's just I think it's almost pretty much consensus that they should be the favorites. I don't really want to hear arguments for any other team. If you want to give me the Patrick Mahomes multiplier and just say they always have a shot, sure, I believe that. It's the best quarterback in the league by a margin. But the way Purdy's playing in the roster, it's hard to fail.
Coaching staff, everything from top to bottom.
Yeah, a fully healthy Niners team
Stop it.
Is NFC Championship game at least.
They
Like
have
at
they
least.
have they have they have the best players in terms of Yak, George Kittle, Debo, and CMC. They got the best left tackle in the game in Trent Williams. They got the second best tight end in football in George Kittle. They got two receivers that are playing outstanding football in Debo and Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, who's taken another jump this year. They got CMC, who's arguably the best running back in the league. They've got the best defense in the entire league. I mean,
They have a Pro Bowler or All Pro basically at every position of importance.
yeah.
Like
Every
I
unit,
mean,
every unit you look
outside
at.
of quarterback, and he might make a Pro Bowl this year.
Oh,
Based
he
on the number,
probably
he
will.
might
He
make a Pro
probably
Bowl
will.
in the NFC.
He will. He will.
You got a Pro Bowler or All Pro at every position in the league. That's hard to come by. Like the Eagles had it also. They had a bunch of Pro Bowlers last year, but like Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, CMC, Ayuk might make a Pro Bowl. Kittle might make one.
Holafunga.
Funga, Brock
Yep.
Purdy gonna make it. Trent Williams gonna make it. Like
Ayuk.
it's tough.
It's just listen. I don't know how they were able to add Hargrave to that unit in free agency. I don't know where the fuck
Where's
this
the
money.
money?
Where's
But you
it
know what?
coming from?
Where's the
But this
money?
is the thing about sports, right? Sports franchises, they always bitch and complain. We're like, we don't have the money. We have the money. When they want to make a move, they're gonna make some space for that money. Just trust.
And people said, "Oh, they got Brock Purdy on that contract." They had all the money on the books last year with having Jimmy Garoppolo on the contract books. Like you had 3 quarterbacks you were paying at least up to about 30 something mil because Jimmy was getting about 28, something like that.
Had the rookie contract.
Plus you had CMC who was already on his $10 million, $11 million deal.
Yep.
I think they had paid Armstead. They had extended him like a couple years back.
Yep.
You had Debo on that deal. You had Kittle on his deal. Fred Warner on the deal. It's crazy. Where's the money coming from?
I don't know. Like, they're finding it and they're chipping away. That's what billionaires do, though. They make space and they make money. But that's gonna wrap up that segment. So the next segment before we get to the my top 5 teams in the NFL, it hits near and dear to my heart. Coach Belichick, Mr. Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time. I don't think it's an argument anymore. And I still believe the best coach in football today. I just stand by that. I think if the greatest of all time is doing what they're doing, I don't know how you can't have them as the number one person in the entire in their category or whatever the hell you want to call it. Is Bill Belichick being exposed? As a head coach, no. I don't think anybody's going to say, and you'll hear everybody talk about it. The coaching is not the problem. Bill Belichick didn't just forget how to coach. Okay, he didn't just overnight just be like, oh, I'm a dummy now. I don't know how to coach football. No, that didn't happen. What Bill Belichick's problem is he's not a good GM. He's the one picking the talent, picking the groceries, as Mr. Bill Parcells said, his mentor. He's not doing a good job. There's obviously these numbers out there, these stats, facts, whatever you want to call it, out there. Since 2010, I think Bill Belichick has only drafted 3 all-pro players. One of them was a punter, and 2 of them were returners. He hasn't drafted a high-end offensive weapon since James White in 2016, I believe, or 2014, whatever the year that was. And James White, while I love James White and he was a great receiving back, he wasn't, this top running back or anything in the league. So even before that, if you really want to go, when was the last time you drafted a true high-end talent? Well, yes, you would have to go back to Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski in 2010. That's laughable. So when you look at that, it really comes bright into your eyes. It was really just Tom will figure it out. Tom will figure it out on the offensive end, right? And that's a shame, right? And I love Jules. Jules is an incredible player, clutch as hell. But it's Bill's fault in terms of that, picking the talent, spending all that money in free agency a couple of years ago. But this year, he also just it's hard to freaking talk through because it's such just a mess of what's happened the past couple of years since Brady left. Obviously, we had the Cam Newton year where I believe we should have kind of tanked, but we didn't. We signed Cam. We went 7-9, right? Then the year after, we get Mac Jones. We start him. We make the playoffs, 10-7 with a rookie quarterback. I don't want to hear we got blown out by the Bills. That doesn't matter. Right? The Bills were a better team than us. Okay, the Bills had Super Bowl aspirations. The Patriots didn't even have playoff aspirations going in. So making the playoffs was a hell of a success for that season. But then Bill made the critical error. Josh McDaniels takes the job in Vegas, and malpractice happens, and he brings in his buddies Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, a special teams coordinator and a defensive coordinator to coach offense.
Silly decisions.
I mean, silly is an understatement, Q. It was damn near a fireable offense. Like that is something that I said this, that hurt the development and progression of Mac Jones's career. And it might have ruined his entire career. We don't know. Like he might never be able to recover from that. Bill O'Brien, but thank God he realizes the error of his ways, and he brings in Bill O'Brien, a buddy from his back in 2010, 2011, coaching for the Patriots offensively, was in Alabama, familiar with Mac, comes in, right? Love the move. But the players are just not what we need to be. I said this throughout the entire offseason, right? First off, I'm still befuzzled why Jacoby Myers is still not a New England Patriot. Okay, because we gave that contract to Juju, which made no sense to me. I said it then. I'm going to say it now. It made no sense to me. They're basically the same player, and I would actually argue Jacoby is better at this point in time than Juju.
Yeah,
and I think I'd be factually correct by that. Yeah, because Juju is shot. His knees, he's shot. He's not the same guy anymore. So you should have paid Jacoby. Devontae Parker. Yeah, Mr. Devontae Parker, he's a one-trick pony. He's a throw-it-up 50-50 ball.
And
he's not Des Bryant. He's not. He's not very good, and the O-line has been compromised throughout the entire season so far. I like KB. I like Kendrick Bourne. I've always called him a playmaker. When you get the ball in his hands, he makes plays. He's not a 1. He's not really a 2, but he's a guy who can make plays. I like Ramondre. He hasn't played well at all this season. Gesicki, I like. Hunter Henry, I like. I like this kid, Pop. Demario Douglas, I believe his name is. I love the nickname Douglas. Pop. He's got some burst to him. And then I cannot wait to see what Tyquan Thornton can really be. Second round pick, 6'2", runs a 4.2. I need to see what this guy can do in extended playing time. But I say all that, and the meat of the matter is the problem still remains. We have no difference maker on the offensive end. None. DeAndre Hopkins was that guy. D-Hop was that guy to go get. The rumors were obviously out there. We were in talks and blah, blah, blah. And then he chose the Tennessee Titans. We needed to get D-Hop. We didn't. And now we're kind of in this land of what's going on, right? We've played 3 great defenses the last 3 weeks, and we've looked pretty terrible, especially the last 2 weeks. We put 3 points up on the board the last 2 weeks. That's embarrassing. My whole thing is Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft need to come together probably after this season. And they need to have a conversation and basically discuss that Bill, as GM, full GM, you can't be that guy anymore. We need to discuss as partners, Bill and Robert, who we can bring in to put in that role that we both equally trust to make these decisions. That's what needs to happen in the offseason. So, Q, I throw it to you because it looks like you want to say something. Go ahead.
It's the opposite of the Cowboys situation where the owner has too much say and too much input on the team. It's the same way Bill is trying to be, the front office himself and the coach.
Yep.
And yet, when you're not good at picking offensive talent, naturally he's a defensive guy. 9 times out of 10, the defense is going to be fine because he's a defensive guy. He knows how to, scheme a defense, pick the players for the defense, yada, 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 so on. Every move he's made as GM has hindered the team. Even if forget Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. When you drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, you had rumblers wanting to play him over Tom Brady. that already started the rumble. You got in a little strafe, Tom won. You might have been a little salty about that. You send him over to San Fran for a bag of chips, whatever. There's no reason why like you can't let somebody pick the offensive players. Like there's no skill players that on this team. The best skill players they've had since Gronk, Edelman, Aaron Hernandez were James White and Sonny Michel. Those are positions that aren't like quarterback really friendly in terms of like I can throw to them. They're gonna do a lot downfield. That's a lot. Swing pass is only gonna work so much. Wheelwright's only gonna work so much. I need a true number one receiver to go do something. When you can't pick that type of talent, and you go out there, you overspend almost like 3 years back to back on tight ends instead of spending the money on the receivers. Of course, the Mac Jones isn't going to be able to do much. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, yeah, they cool tight ends. They aren't the difference makers for the offense. Mike Gesicki, cool tight end. He's not a difference maker for the offense. Who are you gonna throw to on a 3rd and 8? And you need somebody to be right there on time. They're not that. Like then
Yep.
you do that whole nonsense with Matt Patricia, Joe Judge for what? For why? Did you think that was gonna make sense? That was crazy to me. And the O-line play, it's not really a Bill fault, but the O-line coach, Dante Scarnecchia, whatever his name is, Scarnecchia. Yeah, once he retired, O-line has regressed.
Yeah.
You go in, you patchworking O-lineman, you drafting Cole Strange in like the 1st, 2nd round when Cole Strange had a 3rd, 4th round grade. You had the Rams laughing at you on draft day, like what? Because like he picked like I'm not saying Bill ain't smart, but he's picking players and talking so high about players that don't really matter so much in the grand scheme of football today. Like I don't care about long snappers. Like that should be my main focus.
I did see that. I thought that was pretty funny though. He went on like a 10-minute talking point about long snapping and stuff. But I hear you and listen, I don't know if you've where is she right now? I don't know if you've seen her on Twitter. She's done an outstanding job of doing these weekly recaps. Annie Agar on Twitter, and they're hilarious. They're outstanding. This past week's one was pretty funny. Where looks like she was like paraphrasing. Looks like the Patriots are headed for a top 5 pick, and it was like she said, Bill is just waiting. Like, can you imagine how many times we could trade back now? And I'm just like, she's so freaking right. That is a Bill Belichick special. Oh, we've got a good pick. Let's trade back. Let's just trade back. It's been a rocky road. I mean, you've got guys like Mappe or whatever his name was that we took in the 2nd or 3rd round. That was like a Division 3 or 2 player for no reason that we could have gotten the 5th or 6th round. We took in the 2nd or 3rd. Cole Strange, I hear you. Cole Strange has been actually pretty good, but I hear you. Why draft him that early? I hear you. Why draft him that early?
They're not, even if they turn out to be good players, it's like
you're taking them too early.
You got to maximize your value.
Yep.
Especially on a team that's spending a lot of money on defense. Like maximize. Juju and Jacoby Myers had the same year, basically statistic wise.
Yeah, Jacoby was.
Juju had that year because he was with Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Jacoby Myers had that year with Mac Jones.
And Patricia and Judge calling the
You
plays.
feel me? there's a gap to it.
Big gap.
Like, if you swap them, Jacoby Myers probably has a 1,300 yard a year with Patrick Mahomes, and like
100%. I don't. Yeah, that move still. That move still befuzzles me because it seemed like Jacoby was like a guy who's going to be a Patriot for almost life. He was a guy that was, I believe, it was a quarterback in college or freshman year, and then obviously turned basically a Julian Edelman type story. And Belichick's done that plenty of times. Change position and stuff like that. And it just seemed like he was going to be this perfect guy for that. But he went to Las Vegas, and that was that right there. But listen, man, it has been a tough road. To wrap this all up, I do want to say this. Bill Belichick is going to decide when he wants to leave. This talk of him being fired as a head coach or whatever at the end of that, I don't want to hear that, and that's stupid because the grass ain't always green on the other side. All right, you want to be like the damn Detroit Lions before they got DC. You want to be like the Jacksonville Jaguars before they got Dougie P. Like, you want to be these type of teams that are just waiting, flipping head coaches back to back to back. You've got a head coach. You got a guy that wants to be a head coach. He's not what Belichick doesn't do anything else besides coaching and play golf. That is all he cares about.
They have a head coach. They don't have a GM.
They need a GM.
Get yourself a GM.
Yep. So and what I want, so if you look at any other head coach, and I'm gonna go through the list that has had the same type of longevity that Belichick has had, they have all walked away on their own accord, right? You've got Earl Curly Lambeau, all right, the man that was named after Lambeau Field in the Green Bay Packers, 29 years, 1920 to 1949. That one was the only one that was a weird thing where it was weird ending terms. The executives kind of turned on him and he turned on them, and it was just a weird situation. Then you had Mr. Don Shula, the Miami Dolphins, 25 years, 1970 to 1995. He retired. Tom Landry, Dallas Cowboys, 28 years, 1960 to 1988. Now, he was replaced when Jerry Jones came in and hired Jimmy Johnson. So that was new ownership, different situation there. Robert Kraft's not going anywhere. Then you've got Steve Owen, New York Giants, 22 years, 1931 to 1953. He retired. And finally, Mr. Chuck Noll of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 22 years, 1969 to 1991, and he retired. I'd say that everybody who has had similar type of longevity as Bill Belichick has walked away on their own accord, except for weird extenuating circumstances, new ownership, and then just something weird going on in the 1940s, right? But like I've always said, Q, is don't come to me and bitch and complain and all that stuff about what's going on about a problem, because I'm not going to listen to you. Give me a suitable solution, then we can have a conversation. Because all I'm hearing is fire Belichick, fire Belichick, fire. But you're not giving me a suitable replacement.
Yeah, and it's like, then what?
Then what? Exactly.
He's not going to get fired. Bill has earned up enough equity that, like, if it has to come to the you can't coach this team no more, you're not going to be. It's going to be something mutual. Like, it'll be a mutual. I'm out of here, and that's only going to look like I said this other. I'm like, if they mutually part ways, Bill, he might find himself coaching the Chargers next year with it, and he probably coach for another 10 years. He's definitely gonna get that record. That's what he wants. Definitely gonna get it with Justin Herbert. So what do you want to do? You want to send him to in your same conference, or do you want to like have the hard conversation and tell him you can't be GM no more? Because you can fix this team. You can definitely fix the team.
Easily fix this team. The defense is still top 10 right now. It's injured, right? Jack Jones is still injured. Marcus Jones out for the year. Christian Gonzalez out for the year, and John Jones missed a couple of games. The secondary, and then obviously our best player on the entire team, Matt Judon, Red Sleeves, out for the entire year. This defense is ravaged, but I still believe it's a good unit because Bill Belichick's just going to scheme it up. But we'll be better next year if we add that certain. And listen, if we get a top 5 pick, there's a guy out there, Q, that's going to be coming out. Plays for Ohio State, junior, Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr. Could you imagine if we got that kid? I'm just saying. But that wraps up that topic. So now let's get on to my top 5 teams in the NFL, Q. Here we go. Oh, shit. Top 5 teams in the NFL right now before week 6. So nobody kill me and stuff like that. At number 5, I couldn't make a decision, so I split it. It's the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Why I say that is I can't put the Fins over the Bills because the Bills blew out the Dolphins. But I can't put the Bills over the Dolphins because the Bills are coming off a loss and a bad loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Fins are coming off a win. So that's why I have them smack dab number 5, both teams right there. Number 4, I've got the Detroit Lions. 3 straight dubs. The Lions are legit. They're riding high. Obviously, their only weak point is their defense, and still playing pretty damn good football right now. But that offense is prolific. It's high-powered. They just put up 42 points, and they didn't have Amon St. Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs on that team. And Jameson Williams was on the snap count. That's insane. Next up, you got number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. They are still that team, the it team. They're still winning. They're still getting the job done. I have number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs at 4-1. And then obviously we've talked about them at nauseum. Number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're the 1B. to obviously number one, the 49ers. They're the second most complete team in all football. They're 5-0. And then obviously number one, I've got the San Francisco 49ers, the prohibitive favorites to finish this year off as champions. Yeah, crown them. Crown them. Crown them.
Well, good list. It's a good list. The Miami Buffalo, I respect that because I've been on the Buffalo like train for a minute, and I just like I know I've seen this team. I watched this team for the past 5 years, so I know exactly what they are. I know what they do well and what they don't do well.
Mm-hmm.
They take bad losses, but they have great wins. Like their wins, like when the dust settles, like you look at them like, damn, they just did put up 48 on the Dolphins and left them on 20.
So happy.
They're dealing with a lot of injuries right now, but it's gonna go back. Like I know it was Josh Allen. He turns the ball over so much. You never heard that before until this year because that's when people now are starting to watch the team. Turnovers and all. And it's not even an interception thing, it's a fumble thing. He still, is one of the better quarterbacks in the league with that. So that, just imagine if he just cuts that down in half, he'd clearly be, etched in there. Nobody's going to be sitting there. It's like people are waiting to knock them off.
Yeah.
And right when you think they're bad, they show you exactly why they're not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you knock off everybody's favorite, the Miami Dolphins. They put up 70, yada, yada, yada. Boom, left them on 20.
Blow them out.
Yep. They can do that to teams. There's not a team in the league that they can't beat.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they're not going to be before the game. Obviously, there's not a team in the league that you're going to look at and say the Bills are going to get blown out, right? Even the 49ers, like Josh Allen, and I'm not the biggest. This is obviously a different, and we can maybe have this debate at another episode, Q, because I'm not the biggest Josh Allen believer. He's top 10. I never bought into top 5. Sorry, I just feel like there is something in Josh Allen that's missing for me. And I can't pinpoint it. And maybe it's the football IQ is not what I think it should be. Your top 5 level, there's a lot of times where Josh Allen makes dumb football decisions, whether it be no sliding, whether it be putting his body on the line for no reason, whether it be those interceptions or those turnovers, trying to do too much, trying to be Superman, where I think that if he just settled it back a little bit and played a little bit more in, safer football, I guess is the best word, but you know what I mean by that. He would be looked at, but there's always just been something about Josh Allen that I've looked at and said, why aren't you getting over the hump? And I know 13 seconds, they didn't have the shot to do that or whatever the case may be. But even since then, they haven't reached that, like ever right. That 13-second moment, Q, that was it. I mean, I'm not going to say that was it. Like they're not going to, reach the shot or whatever. They have a shot, right? But since then, everybody was like, oh shit, the Bills are going to be in the Super Bowl in the next couple of years. Like the Bills are just they're going to get over that hump. And they haven't. They haven't been back to the AFC Championship since. So that's all I'm saying is I hear you. Josh Allen I'm not going to sit here and say Josh Allen is, not a top 10 quarterback or something like that, right? I have them ranked right now, obviously, because because you looked at me like he's not top 5. And what I'll say is this: going into the season, I put a lot of faith in Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson to revert back to what I once saw them as. And I would take those two guys at their best, their apex, over Josh Allen. Is why I say he's not top 5. And then obviously I have Burrow, Rodgers, and Mahomes ahead of him, clearly. But they haven't, right? Deshaun has kind of struggled a little bit right now. He's dealing with the injury, and Russell, who's actually playing pretty damn good football. It's just the team is collapsing around him. So by year end, I'll reevaluate things, and Josh Allen might actually take a step forward in my top 5 list. But it looks like you wanted to say something before. Go ahead.
Yeah. No quarterback has to do more for their team. Maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes, no quarterback does more.
I would say
Mahomes
team this year.
Yeah, for me, other than Josh Allen, I'm talking have to be the best running back on the team and be the best passer. You could say that for Lamar Jackson too.
Yeah, I was about to say Lamar too. I think Lamar.
The arm talent of Josh Allen is almost second to none outside of Patrick Mahomes. only other person probably on par is Justin Herbert with just pure
Rodgers. I
strength
would
and
say
ability to
Rodgers
throw the
too.
ball. Yeah, Rodgers, but he's 38, 39, 40. I mean, it's almost his time to go. He did just come off like 2 back-to-back MVPs, but
Yeah,
age is always going to be a thing.
I hear you.
Josh Allen, every year he's putting up total yards. It's at least we talking about 5,500 total yards. We're talking about almost 45 to 50 total touchdowns between passing and throwing.
So here's an interesting question for you. Would you have so Mahomes obviously is your number one. You've said it by far. He's number one. Is your number two? Is two Allen, Burrow, Rodgers?
It's Burrow and it's slightly above Josh Allen. It's only
Okay.
like you said, it's an IQ thing. It's a decision making thing.
Yeah.
But
what about where was Rodgers coming into the season?
For me, he was. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was 5 or 6.
Okay.
5 or 6.
So who do you have? Who do you have right behind Allen? Who would for?
Herbert.
Oh, you big Herbert guy. Okay.
Because I think situations matter a lot, especially when you have a defensive head coach and a lot of your talent is on defense and not on offense.
I would say this. Don't even say defense. I would say you just have a head coach that's honestly lacking football IQ. If we want to talk football IQ, this guy is just straight up lacking football IQ.
Saying it's tough when your offensive identity is Josh Allen or bust.
Yeah,
and that's tough for anybody. Like if I switched Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, I don't think Joe Burrow does as good on the Bills as Josh Allen would do on the Bengals because the Bengals we're 3 receivers and the defense is not bad. Josh Allen would love to throw to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis ain't in the conversation with T. Higgins, and he's barely in the conversation with Tyler Boyd. He's on that. Yeah. There's no like real structure. Justin Herbert goes through the same thing, but at least he has better weapons collectively than what Josh Allen has.
Yes.
He was lucky to get Stephon Diggs because if he didn't have him, it'd be a lot harder to watch.
Oh, Josh Allen would still be considered the bust that he was projected to be in the first 2 years. Stephon Diggs changed his life. I still stand on that. But that's just an interesting to the and here's an interesting topic point. We could quickly do this and then we'll get into pick 'em. Because you mentioned this earlier, arm talent, right? And I actually have this written down, which is just so interesting. Like to me, the quarterbacks with the best arm talent in the NFL, to me, I'll talk history. For me, it's Rodgers is number one. And I think and I know Mahomes, all these, the things and whatever, right? Yeah. But Rodgers was doing all that stuff before Mahomes was even in college football. All right. Rodgers, and also it's not even, it's the fact that, here's the fact why I have Rodgers ahead of Mahomes in that case, in terms of pure arm talent. First off, it looks prettier. Right, just the look of it. It just looks.
Mahomes he doesn't have the mechanics. Like his mechanics is not mechanics and footwork. Aaron Rodgers has it all.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to watch Aaron Rodgers release the football and throw the football. It's a beautiful thing, work of art, I should say. And just strictly numbers wise, Rodgers' touchdown interception ratio, that
best ever.
Clearly, it's the best. It's not even close, dude. It's not even close. This guy doesn't throw picks. He thrown over 10
touchdowns and 4 picks like 2 seasons ago, like 40 touchdowns and 4 picks.
He
got 2 of those picks in like the first week.
Yeah, he's only thrown 10 or more picks twice in his entire career. And one was what the fuck are these balloons and shit, dude? What's going on with Streamlabs? This just started. He's only thrown more than 10 picks twice his entire career. And one of that was his de facto rookie season, 4th year in the league, and then last season again with the Packers in his arguably his worst year of his career. So that's why I have that. And then I have Mahomes number 2. And I think this, and you forgot this guy's name, and it's forgetting him, but Matthew Stafford.
Oh yeah,
arm talent wise.
Yeah, he people forget Matthew Stafford. That was a number 1 overall pick. Like people forget, like when you have and that's the problem, like that separates like Aaron Rodgers between like the Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, I say Josh Allen. The arm arrogance that they have, like they know they're so good that they're gonna try to thread that needle every single time, and that's what be killing them.
Gunslinger.
Like, Brett Favre also, he can throw it anywhere, anytime. It's just I'm gonna prove it to you, and that's my issue with Josh Allen. I think he tries to prove it because people doubted him a lot, so he tries to prove it. You should have.
Mahomes has that in him too.
Aaron Rodgers, and that's why they said knock on him because he throws the ball away a lot instead of trying to, make a play on third and 8 downfield, and it's an arm punt. You look at it as an arm punt, but he looks at it as a turnover. Yeah. Either way, but like. That's why people like Tom Brady because he's taking a shot. You giving your receiver a chance. Aaron Rodgers not trying to really take that chance. It's kind of a knock, but it doesn't really matter because Aaron Rodgers, he still proved he can win games.
Yeah.
Just why throw a turnover when I don't have to? That's just his mindset. And that's cool to have. Why would I want to purposely throw the ball away and give it to the other team? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, no.
And he's smart. He's calculated.
Yeah, it's high football IQ with Aaron Rodgers. But that's just a fun, who has, it is just, I'll pose this question to the audience. In terms of arm talent in the league right now at quarterback, who would be your top 5 arm talent quarterbacks in the league right now? That's just an interesting question to ask. So, all right. So now let's get into week 6 pick'em. Q. We're obviously going to start off. Let me pull up the ESPN app. All right. So we got Thursday night football tonight. The Denver Broncos are headed to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are minus 10.5 favorites. Travis Kelce is scheduled to play, and also Taylor Swift is scheduled to be in attendance. We're just gonna have to mention that. I'm a big Taylor fan. Are you a big Taylor fan or Taylor Swift fan? No, yes, no.
I listen to because it is. She got a radio song, so they always play. It's like it's hard not to listen to the songs.
It's T Swift, one of the biggest stars in the country. But who you got for this Thursday night football game? Chiefs Broncos.
It's the Chiefs. The Broncos haven't beaten the Chiefs since like 2015, like around there. Like that was like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I don't think that ends tonight. Like I just don't think so.
All right, so you got the Kansas City Chiefs. I agree. Listen, both games last year were decided by one score. One of them was just a field goal, and we know how bad the Broncos were last year. I will say this: Thursday night football is usually a wild card. Crazy things happen. Short week, not much time to prepare. Players are playing injured, or more injured, I should say. They're always kind of playing hurt. I expect, honestly, a close, competitive game. I worry about Travis Kelce. I really do. Short week. That ankle didn't look good. It was a non-contact injury, and he's playing Thursday night football. I worry about him. I will say this. I do think Denver is live for an upset, but the smart choice would be go with Kansas City. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, next up, Sunday morning, back in London. Jaguars are no longer hosting in London the last 2 weeks. Now we got two new teams. The Tennessee Titans are taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by -4. Who you got, Q?
Biased pick, but it's not biased. It's the Ravens. The Lamar Jackson. It may not seem like it, but he's playing some of the best football he's ever played.
Mm-hmm.
He's leading the league in completion percentage. Nobody thought that you'd see that. He has had a turnover issue. Like in terms of fumbles, he leads the league in like fumbles lost, but he's standing back in the pocket. He's trying to make a play. Like these weapons aren't the greatest of weapons. The reason why a lot of people, I like the Ravens coming into the season because the weapons are just that much better than what he used to have. Mm-hmm. They had 8 drops last game. I don't think they have 8 drops coming into this game against a Titan secondary that is garbage. Yeah. So I think they should. It's a get right game. Probably won't be a high scoring game. Probably be like 24-17. Let's get out of here with a win, and get out of here. On to the next one because they got a kind of a good stretch coming up, so they could try and put a lead on the division. So Titans should be an easy matchup. Titans aren't really that good. They kind of hit their stride a little bit last couple of weeks, but it's still a weak defense back there outside of front seven.
Yeah, I would say, listen, the Tennessee Titans are a team like the Patriots, Steelers, Giants are, a little abysmal right now, but I kind of still put them in there. A team that's going to be, they're tough, they're gritty, and they're well coached, right? That's kind of what those teams are. So they're going to be competitive in games. And I think this game is an interesting one because it's in London. And if you've listened to players, it's a bitch over there. To get there, to deal with the travel, the time distance, all that stuff. It's just a nuisance to a lot of the players. So this game could be I do agree with you. I think it's low scoring. I bet the under is probably 40 or something. That might be something you want to look at.
It is.
Yeah, so that's something to look at because I think your score right there, 24-17, somewhere around there, I think is a very fair estimate. The Ravens wide receivers though have struggled. Obviously, last week was just abysmal. I think it was 11. It might have been 8 or 11. I forget if I read the number 11, but it's just that was bad. That was bad. And even Mark Andrews, their best receiving weapon, he was dropping the ball too. As one of them was a touchdown, I believe. Yeah. But I will say that OBJ doesn't look healthy. He's and it's so sad, man. It just sucks because of the talent that man possessed and just the injuries and the surgeries he has had to go over. He doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look right. And that just sucks. But I think, honestly, I would say the Titans are live for an upset, just like the Broncos are, but I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think they get the job done because I think Lamar is going to get the job done for them and maybe drives a game-winning touchdown or field goal at the end of the game.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Next up, we've got the Washington Commanders headed to Atlanta, Hotlanta, and taking on the Falcons. The Falcons are favored by -2.5. It's in Atlanta, and my thing with teams like Atlanta and New Orleans and Seattle, if they're in home, I'm usually going to pick them, especially if it's against a comparable team or a team that they are slightly better than, which the Falcons are against the Commanders. So I'm taking the Falcons. They get the job done. Apparently, Desmond Ridder is undefeated at home in college and the pros, 31-0. I still not a believer in him. I made a TikTok recently. I got a lot of flack from it. A lot of people putting clowns and dead emojis. I don't know if you saw it, Q. I think the Falcons should go out and get Cam Newton. I think they should sign Cam. I truly do think Cam Newton is a better player than Desmond Ridder right now. I don't think Desmond Ridder is anything like this special talent. He's a bottom 5-7 quarterback. Cam Newton. Okay, Cam Newton. I'm not asking Cam to be MVP Cam. That guy is long gone. He's never coming back. But
can he be Cam for the Patriots? Can he be Cam that Patriots year 2020?
Even this, can he be Cam in a system that is fit perfectly for him? This team wants to run the ball 30, 35 times a game. You're leaning on Bijan. You're leaning on Algier. You got a 6'5" weapon who Cam is comfortable with. He likes his big-time receivers in Drake London. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Jonnu Smith, who's playing actually really good football. He's actually playing better football than Kyle Pitts. What the fuck's going on, Atlanta? What's going on? I drafted Kyle Pitts. Come on. They've got some talent there, and I just think Cam would fit perfectly there. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl or anything. I'm just saying I think he gives them a better shot at winning than Desmond Ridder, and I don't think that's crazy. But I think this game is going to be close, and I'm going to take Atlanta. What do you think, Q?
I'm going to have to ride with you. I'm going to take Atlanta. Yeah. It's a dome team. They're comfortable playing there. The Commanders, they have a good defense, but they don't have a good defense. Yeah, that sounds great. They have a good defense, but they don't have a good defense.
They got good players, yeah. It's kind of like the Chargers, right?
Yeah, like
they got the players. Something's going on.
Whatever they doing, Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera, it's not working right now. Yeah. Wasting talent. And there's a lot of money on the front line. A lot of money that could be coming in with Chase Young trying to have this basically a contract year.
Yep.
I don't think it's enough right now. You might still see another Sam Howell 350-yard game because he's playing from behind and he has to throw the ball. Atlanta, they play a style of football that they're gonna get you tired. Mm-hmm. They're gonna take shots eventually because clearly they're taking shots with Drake London.
Yeah.
If you get down 2 scores, you're gonna have to throw the ball. Sam Howell not that good.
Yeah.
Either like he ended up doing.
Falcons defense is solid. I mean, AJ Terrell is that dude in the secondary.
They got a number 1 quarter. Their front 7 has gotten better because they spent the money on it.
Yep.
So
they got players.
They're home. You might with a winnable division like this, they have to capitalize right now. Like they have to capitalize.
Yeah, Atlanta should win this game. And also, I also said this, and nobody commented on this part of the clip, Q. They all focus on the Cam Newton part. I also did say, all right, you don't like the Cam Newton situation. There's a guy up in Chicago who also fits this system, who kind of doesn't want to be in Chicago, and it seems like Chicago doesn't really want him. I know they played better the last 2 weeks, but listen, that's because winning heals all wounds. Once they start losing again, which they will, the stories are going to come back out and things are going to start going awry. You want to go with the younger QB that also fits the system? Go trade for Justin Fields and let's see what Atlanta's got because he fits that system too. But next up, we've got the Seattle Seahawks headed to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Bengals are favored by -2.5. Q, listen, Burrow looked like he said he did, which last week he said, I feel the best I have this entire season. And he looked like that. So if that's the case, I'm going to have to take Joe Burrow now at his word and also what he produced on the field, which he actually did look pretty good. He had one scramble that the calf looked pretty healthy. He was taking deep shots, especially that big deep shot, 60-plus yards down the field to Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase absolutely killed me in fantasy football. God damn it, they just kept throwing him the freaking ball. So if that's the case, I'm going to have to believe in Joe Burrow and the Bengals now, and I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to win a close game. The Seattle Seahawks will be competitive.
I'm gonna go with the upset. It's not an upset because it's a 3-point. It's a 2.5 point line. I'm gonna take the Seahawks to win this game.
Okay.
Geno, I'm not a believer in Geno, but it's like the play hasn't dropped off from last season.
It's a solid quarterback.
You feel me? Their O-line is dealing with a lot. They're dealing with some injuries right now, but they're still winning games.
Yes.
They're like, and they got 2 corners. They got 2 legit corners. Devon Witherspoon on Monday Night Football had his coming out party against the Giants and went crazy.
Legit.
T. Higgins, I don't think he's playing because he got that rib injury.
Questionable, yeah. And if he even does play, what is he going to be? Yeah.
Exactly. I throw one of those corners on him. He's basically out for the game. He hasn't had a good year at all, especially when he's looking for money.
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd, he's a slot guy. He's not going to light up. Like, again, I throw any other corner on him. He should be, pretty much neutralized. We're talking about Jamar Chase or bust. I'll live with that. Double him, shade him, do whatever I got to do, and just try to get after Joe Burrow. I'm not going out there looking to injure him. I just want to knock him around a little bit.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown still hasn't been good. They paid him money. He still hasn't been good yet. Like, the O-line is still an issue. Just try to get after him as much as possible and force him to throw downfield, plant that leg, and really test out that calf.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with
the upset with the Seahawks. Okay.
Yeah,
it's a good shot. Listen, the Seahawks are a live team, well-coached team, gritty. They're tough. They got a good defense. They got a solid offense. They got weapons on the offense. DK Lockett, Kenneth Walker. That offensive line for the Bengals, Q, is just it's not good. I don't know if you saw my clip of me exposing the offensive line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals, Mr. Frank Pollock. Yeah, that I think I'm gonna be. Listen, I agree with you. Orlando Brown hasn't been good, but they've got talent on the offensive line. Like, they've spent a lot of money.
They got the names, and they produced someone like Jonah Williams has produced for the Bengals. Orlando Brown has produced. He produced for the Ravens.
Yes.
But I was fine with him leaving, though, for a reason. Like, I was fine with him leaving, but he's produced. Like,
Kappa
Alex
played
Kappa
for the
has
Bucs.
produced. He's won a Super Bowl. It's just
Harris,
sometimes
but I truly think because this is my thing. You bring in the talent. You've changed some things now too. You got rid of Lyle Collins. You brought in Orlando Brown, right? I think it's time that you truly look at it and say, Frank Pollock, you got to go. Like, because maybe he's the problem. Because I went through the list of where he's been, and you can tell me in Dallas in 2016, this guy in 2017 didn't have the talent offensive line. He had 3 bona fide Hall of Famers. Travis Frederick would have been in the Hall of Fame if not for his terrible illness that he had, which sucks for him. So, and he went from 1 to 16 to 20th in 3 consecutive years with the Cowboys. That's just not good. So maybe he's the case to look at him. But I hope to God too, because goddamn Joe Burrow, I feel bad for him.
A lot of money. It's a lot of money riding on those leg injuries.
Yep. Next up, we've got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Jacksonville's favored by -4. Anthony Richardson is injured for the 2nd time this season. This is just not a good look. He's been put on IR this time. He's going to miss extended period of time. Gardner Minshew is in. He's a solid backup quarterback. He's somebody that you would like to have be your backup quarterback. He can make some magic. There's a reason Minshew Magic's out there. Trevor Lawrence is 2-2 against the Colts. Both losses coming on the road, and obviously both wins coming in Jacksonville. So I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game.
The Jaguars, they should win this game.
Yeah.
The only reason why, like, it might be look a little different because we've seen first game of the season, they were down, in the 4th quarter, like 7 minutes ago, to this same Colts team with Anthony Richardson starting at quarterback. Yeah. Gardner Minshew is definitely there's a gap between the the passing ability between Anthony Richardson and Gardner Mitchell. Gardner Mitchell can throw the ball. Like we've seen him throw the ball. And that might hurt the Jaguars because the Jaguars secondary isn't good. They have Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams. Their secondary still isn't good. They've had good showings. Like they're good players. They just haven't played good this year collectively. So if Gardner Mitchell could threaten downfield with Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Alex Pierce, and try to make something happen back there with Jonathan Taylor back, he might still be on a pitch count, maybe not. Like he did ramp up last week. He might get a more heavy workload this week. Couple him, threatening that defense. You might see it, just a divisional matchup. You might just see the Colts squeak out a win. But I'm gonna go with the Jaguars because they should be the better team with the better quarterback. Yeah. When it's that close, I just always go with the better quarterback.
So yeah, you go with the better quarterback. And I actually, you just reminded me. I forgot they did play this year. So Trevor Lawrence is 3-2 against Indianapolis, and he got over that 0-2 hump in Indianapolis, getting that win. So now he's 1-2 against Indianapolis in Indianapolis. But I'm still picking the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game. I think I picked the Jaguars to sweep the Colts this year anyway before the season. I'll stick with that. Next up, we've got the Carolina Panthers headed to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Dolphins are favored by -13.5. I think that's appropriate. All I have written down, Q, here is blowout incoming. Give me the Dolphins.
Same thing. Especially since the Panthers were already a bad team.
Yeah.
They're even worse because they're dealing with a whole lot of cornerback injuries. Like everybody's going down.
Yeah.
Like everybody's going
especially down. their stud guy in J.C. Horn.
I mean, so this should be a basically a 20-point win. Like Tyreek Hill, go get yours. Jalen Waddle, go get yours. They don't have Devon A-Chain, but they still got Raheem Mostert. They still have a talented backfield. This should be an easy game. A little rest up after the third quarter, look on to next week.
Exactly. Yeah. That's probably the easiest game to pick this week. Next up, we've got the Vikings headed to Chicago to take on the Bears, but Minnesota is favored by -2.5. The Vikings are in trouble. Not this week. Well, maybe. They're in trouble for the season. Jettas is on IR, and he might not be coming back if they continue to struggle. If they lose this game, you could probably kiss Justin Jefferson coming back this season goodbye. I honestly still believe they never should have gotten rid of Dalvin Cook. I just didn't. I understand the blah, 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 but he's just a guy that fits the system. He's been in the system. He's a good player. And the money, it's just I just didn't agree with the move. But I think the Vikings should win this game. I really do. Even with Jetta's gone, a lot's going to be leaned on Jordan Addison now. A lot of targets and priorities going to be leaned on Jordan Addison and obviously TJ Hawkinson. They're going to be leaning on TJ. But I think it's going to be a close one. It's in Chicago. Chicago has actually played pretty well very well actually the last 2 weeks. The Vikings defense is not really anything. But I think the Vikings should win a close one. They should win a close one, but I feel like we've said that all season and that they're 1-4.
That's been the tale of the Vikings the past 4 years. Yeah. When you don't have a good defense, because they haven't had a good defense, you're going to be in a lot of one-score games. They won them last year. Usually that tends to regress. It flips. Like if you lose a lot of one-score games, which they did 2 years ago, the next year you usually win a lot of those one-score games they did last year. Yep. So now they're back to regressing to the mean. Brian Flores, his philosophy on defense is he's going to blitz a lot. So their secondary is getting, torched back there. Justin Fields, he hasn't shown that he can just torch, teams up and down like consistently, but he's played bad defenses the past 2 weeks. Yeah. And he's, showed out. They've been calling plays. He has to put on good tape, whether it is for him to keep his job in Chicago or he's auditioning for another team.
Yep.
DJ Moore, he's still a legit number one wide receiver. There's no corner on the Vikings that can hold him. If they can't get to Justin Fields in time, he should be able to threaten downfield like he did last couple weeks. I'm going to take the Bears in this one because I think the Vikings are going to just switch off and just look towards trying to get Caleb or Drake May and restarting this whole thing because Kirk's not going to be there.
Yeah,
I think they're just going to make the decision probably to let's just start losing games. And I think the Bears
must be out.
Winning, like you said, winning cures all. They might be able to, use the winning and Justin Fields play in the wins to try to like evaluate what they really got. So I think
Yeah.
they should try to probably win this game in a close one also.
Yeah. But I hear you. I think it's going to be a real close game. Chicago is definitely alive to win that game. Next up, we've got the San Francisco 49ers headed to Cleveland to take on the Browns. The 49ers are favored by 7 points. Deshaun Watson is questionable. He didn't practice yesterday. It's the shoulder is still bothering him, it seems. It seems that there might be a little bit of dysfunction also starting to creep up with Stefanski and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I
By the
heard
way,
you see his
yeah.
comments.
Stefanski, did he make new
Yeah,
comments or are you talking about
yeah.
last week?
Or like the last week comments, like
Yeah.
he was cleared to play.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
asked, basically, yeah. Kind of calling out his quarterback. Yeah, that's not it's not a good look. I'll be honest, never big fan of Stefanski. Don't really think he's that guy. Um, the Cleveland's defense should be able to keep this close. Cleveland's defense is legit. It's really good. Top 10. If Deshaun is playing, if Deshaun's not playing, this is the 49ers are about to beat up on the Cleveland Browns.
they need Deshaun Watson more than ever. No Nick Chubb, who was one of my first picks in fantasy, which is crazy.
Hey,
He-
we're in the same boat because I picked him in the first round too.
it's like
Oh,
Kareem Hunt cool, Jerome Ford cool, but Nick Chubb is just a different animal. He's a top 3 running back in the league. This team is predicated on defense and a run. Deshaun Watson, shoulder injury. He wasn't even fully back before the said shoulder injury. He was still trying to work his way back up with Amari Cooper and them. I just think it's almost it's like almost the same philosophy going against each other. I think the 49ers should pull this out because they have all the weapons. They have CMC and Brock Purdy's playing lights out. We might see a Brock Purdy regression game, but I don't think so. That hasn't been the history. It'd probably be a 23 12 game, 13 game. Like the 49ers squeak out of there playing a gritty game, which they have no problem doing because it's a physical team. They have no problem winning the game, a gritty style, a defensive battle, because that's what they're built for. So 49ers probably get this one in, not a convincing win, but a win that they should feel fine about going against a top 10 defense.
And this is an interesting thing too. I'm looking at the weather. It's projected to rain in Cleveland, and Cleveland weather can be bad, so that can just add to a real struggle of a game there. And I could see Brock Purdy turning the football over at least once this game. Myles Garrett gets to him. Denzel Ward makes a big play. I could see that happening. But yeah, it's just Cleveland. What's going on, man? I had such high hopes for Cleveland this year, but it's just not like I just think. Listen, man, you go week 1, you lose Jack Conklin, one of the best right tackles in the game, and then the week after that, Nick Chubb is down for the season. You're done after that. That's it. You can't. You're not coming back from that. Next up, we've got the New Orleans Saints headed to Houston to take on the Texans. CJ Stroud is playing outstanding football as a rookie quarterback. He's looking like the best rookie quarterback out of this class. He's looking like the Carolina Panthers, and more importantly, David Temper made a terrible decision picking Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. Saints defense is for real, though. It's a legit unit. Derek Carr looked better last week. I know it was against the injured Patriots team, but the arm looked better is what I should say. Like I said, CJ Stroud, he could be the one for the Houston Texans. I know they wish they had that in Deshaun, but the management and Deshaun just started to get rocky there. But CJ could be the one. But I think the Saints are going to win this game. I know I usually would pick against them because it's in Houston, but I think the Saints defense travels. The run game is going to travel, and they've got 2 weapons on the outside that are pretty damn good. So I got the Saints winning this game.
I want to pick the Texans so bad because I understand the Saints got a good defense. Pittsburgh got a good defense, and they took Pittsburgh to town. Like
that is true. That is true.
CJ Stroud, he's playing with such, and I like CJ Stroud coming into the draft. I thought he should have been number 1 because he had the size, and I've seen him put the ball in places where Bryce Young just can't, and that just it's not Bryce Young's fault, and it's not like. Yeah, everybody be like, oh, Bryce Young don't really have a lot of weapons. He don't have no O-line. CJ Stroud going to do the same thing, damn near. we know Tank Dell and Nico Collins really because CJ Stroud's throwing on the ball and they're having
Yeah,
big games.
yeah, these guys were not people last year.
Yeah, his whole offensive line are backups. Like he doesn't have his right guard Kendrick Green out for the year. Larry Tunsil still hasn't played. Right tackle out. Like
And
he's playing
Damian
with
Pierce, who had a great season last year, has not
not
been
showing up
anywhere
this year
same
for
yet.
whatever reason.
Yep.
Maybe it's because the O line is bad. We just don't know.
I just don't know.
But they're going out there and they're threatening teams. They're like they're not getting blown out. They've
No.
blown out teams.
Yeah,
Like they beating the Jaguars and they beating the Steelers. Like
that's a good shout. They've spoiled some teams roads right now.
it's a 1-point spread. That's how close this game is gonna be.
Yeah.
I might just pick this. I'm gonna go with the Saints, just because, like you said, the weapons on the outside. Alvin Kamara's back. Saints should win this game. Probably it's still gonna be close, but the Saints got to win.
If the Saints defense shows up, they should be able to win this game, and I think that they're going to show. I think CJ Stroud hasn't turned the football over yet this year. I think that's possibly going to change, just like Brock Purdy's might change this week as well. Just playing really good defenses. Next up, we got my New England Patriots headed to Vegas. Vegas is actually favored by 3 points. This is the place where the embarrassment of the season took place last year.
Oh yeah, with the lateral Chandler Jones. Patriots won this one though.
Just stupid. Go ahead.
They should win this game. The Raiders start out good. They start hot, like not hot, but they start games good and they end games good. But they mess up in the middle. I think, especially going up against Josh McDaniels, I think Bill Belichick, he's gonna have something he's not trying to go out sad against the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Patriots, they pull out this win. Something slimy like an 18, 19, 15 game. Some crazy, some team get a safety, score down, get it. I think something happens in this game that just some special teams play that just allows the Patriots to just eke out a win and make them have something to look forward to for the season, even though they shouldn't be wanting to win.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And listen, I agree with you there. I think the Patriots rewrite the wrongs of the last 2 weeks and last year. They're gonna wipe that shit taste out of their mouth from last year, and get this dub. But I will say this: if our offense does not look better against the Raiders defense, I am going to be highly concerned. More concerned than I was the past 3 weeks, which I'm not really, because I'm playing 3 great defenses. Oakland Raiders. The Vegas Raiders defense is not, they've got Max Crosby. That's it. That's where it ends. That it stops and starts with Max Crosby. I know they had 3 picks against Jordan Love last week on Monday night, but rookie quarterback, rookie quarterback struggles. Our offense should look better. It should. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be very, very concerned. So New England Patriots offense, just show up. Show up. Ramondre, let's go. What do we get? KB the ball. Hunter Henry. He's looked pretty good this year, despite last week, which was just an abysmal performance. Get these guys the ball. Let's get them involved. And for the love of God, take that right tackle that we've got, Lowe, I think his name is. Put him on the damn bench and put in Riley Reef. All right. He's back off IR. He's a vet, and he's going to do better than what Lowe is doing right now, because Lowe is just an abysmal performance right now. So just maybe fix that. I don't know, but Patriots should get the job done. I'm just praying and hoping. Next up, I'm going to have big boy eyes on this game. My boys playing the Detroit Lions, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. The Lions are favored by -3.5. Bucks are coming off a bye week. Q, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Okay.
The Buccaneers, people expecting them to regress because no Tom Brady.
Yep.
The defense still has all the major players on the defense.
Yep.
Offensive line wasn't good, but they still have Tristan Wirfs.
Mm-hmm.
Baker hasn't been playing bad. He's been playing pretty solid football. Pretty solid football. They still have Mike Evans, still have Chris Godwin. They still, 2 good receivers, but the Lions, their offense is very. It's not this. It's different. They run the ball well.
Yeah.
They run the ball no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And they can throw it. They might have St. Brown back. Jameson Williams, he should be back in a full role. He's gonna threaten over, the defense over the top. They can get some cheap scores that way, and they just gotta, play ball control. If they get up on them 14 to whatever 7, 21-7, and it should be a cool game. David Montgomery's been looking amazing this year. No Jahmyr Gibbs a lot. He hasn't been played a lot, but why would you? David Montgomery's going for 150 and 3 touchdowns. So they have a formula to win. Looking to capitalize and run away with the division. They pretty much have it in their hand. They might as well just keep adding to a successful season.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, the Jahmyr Gibbs thing is it's just like, come on. I drafted this guy. It's like nobody turned the ball. I was told that this guy's gonna be used as depot, and he's just not been at all. It's embarrassing, but I agree with you there. The Detroit Lions, they are legit contenders for an NFC Championship game to get there. They can get there. I'm not saying they're going to win that game because I got the 49ers winning and going to the Super Bowl, but the Detroit Lions are live contenders to go to the NFC Championship game. That's how high-powered this offense is. Their only weakness is their defense. They've got solid players, Aiden Hutchinson, obviously. It just sucks that CJ Gardner-Johnson is out for the year because he was a big ad for them in terms of mentality-wise, too. I've been saying this, too. I think the Detroit Lions should go out and trade for Mr. Patrick Surtain. I think
that's a good spot. That's a very good spot. They got the assets.
Yeah, they need a true number one corner. Are you really going to get – you're probably going to be picking in the 20s this year in the draft? You think that you think you're going to get a better player than Patrick Surtain in the first round? I don't think so. So trade a first round pick, trade a first and a third or whatever the hell they've got, and go get a Patrick Surtain. And that defense is now going to be even better because now you got a true number one pass rusher and a true number one corner, and that can just be great for them. But Tampa Bay, man, they got very good offense. They got high-end talent you talked about. You didn't mention Rachaad White. He's a pretty damn good back. He struggled a little bit, but he's live running the ball and catching the ball. They're coming off a bye at their home. I love Baker Mayfield. That's my dude. I'm always going to root for Baker, my favorite player in the league currently playing right now. The Bucs are live for an upset, man. They're playing at home.
Yeah, they definitely can win the game.
They're playing good football. But I'll have to give the slight edge to the you know what? Screw that, man. I'm picking the damn Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game. Baker Mayfield is coming back. Baker, touchdown maker. That's my dog, man. That's my dog. Everybody roll him off. Steal a quote again from Geno Smith. Y'all roll him off, but he ain't right back.
What happened to him was kind of unfair. It was kind of unfair. Still the injury. He played through it. I understand it. Like, if you play through the injury, you're just going to get graded on how you played, no matter if you was injured or not. If you got on the field, you're healthy. I understand that premise. And he played bad, but it's like context. He was injured, bro. Dude. Like, that's all it was. You put on a team that has a pretty good defense and some weapons, he could probably do something, and he's doing something now.
You know what's crazy about Baker? Every time we expected him to be good, or the team to be good, they really weren't, right? And when we expected him to be bad, he was actually really good. Like when Odell went down that year, when they made the playoffs, everybody was like, oh, they're done. Baker actually went on the best stretch of his entire career in 11 games, played outstanding football. So the Los Angeles Rams games, one of the best comebacks you'll see in recent memory. But yeah, you're preaching the choir there with Baker Mayfield. He was done dirty in Cleveland, but now he's in Tampa Bay in a better situation. I'm loving it, and the Saints are really good, and they should be the favorites. But I picked the Bucs to win the division before the season. I'm sticking with that, and I think the Bucs are going to win the division. Especially they got a win over the Saints already in New Orleans too, I might add, which is just that's another big one. The Arizona Cardinals are headed to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Rams are favored by -7 points. Rams are going to win. That's just me.
Yeah, it's not too much to say. Rams got the W. I would have had them taking them the W even if Cooper Kupp wasn't back. But Cooper Kupp is back, came back. It's like he never left.
Never left.
You got him and Puka, Kyrie Williams back there. Matt Stafford's playing pretty good football. Take the Rams. You might as well, if you're gonna bet on them, you might as well take that spread. Arizona fights. It's a division game, but they're only gonna fight for so long until the better team, prevails. So
Exactly.
take the Rams.
And I want to pose this question to you and everybody out there. Where does Puka and Cooper Kupp rank among wide receiver duos in the league right now?
They're definitely top 10 because it's carried by Cooper Kupp, but you can't ignore what Puka Nakua was doing. The first 4 weeks. He's looking at like top 10 in yards right now, or like 570 something.
I think he's top 5 in yards. Top 5 in yards, actually.
I mean, so you just can't like ignore it. Anybody else be doing it, you'd be singing their praises. So they got to be top 10.
If a first rounder was doing that, I mean, they were singing his praises. But Puka's playing outstanding football, man. I mean, he's doing a lot of great things. I mean, he's breaking records. Receptions records. And it's fun to see. I think definitely they should be probably ranked in the top 10. I don't know if they break into anything higher than that, but they're definitely in that conversation. I love what Puka and Cooper Kupp are doing. I love the Los Angeles Rams. It's fun to see them, right? It's fun to see the Los Angeles Rams doing good. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles headed to MetLife to take on the Jets. Philly's favored by -7. I think Philly wins big. The Jets offense can't compete with the Eagles defense. I know we talked about earlier that they can be taken advantage of. I don't think they get taken advantage of this week.
Zach Wilson has had a couple good. He hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been very good. He's not going to do that to Philly. That offensive line will get manhandled.
Yep, and he looked like what did he look like against the New England Patriots the last time he played bad? A good defense. He didn't look very good at all. And the Eagles defense is better than the New England Patriots right now because they've got the talent to back it up. Zach's going to be under a lot of pressure. That offensive line is not going to be able to hold that pass rush of the Eagles. The only hope for the Jets to win is if Breece Hall and/or Dalvin Cook go off and the defense gets multiple turnovers, but I don't see that happening. So give me the Eagles.
Same thing. The Eagles should have this game won by basically halftime. They're gonna run the ball out, and just that's gonna be it. Like Sauce and Quentin and all of the defense is a good defense till they're not a good defense because they're getting ran on. They're tired.
Yep.
Offense is on 3 and out, so they're back on the field. Sauce could take away one side of the field, but they still got Devontae Smith on the other side. You still got Dallas Goedert in the middle. Jalen Hurts on these these
that offensive line that just freaking like parts the ocean like goddamn Noah's Ark, dude. And DeAndre Swift is just running through the widest of holes.
And if anybody's gonna get the turnovers, it's gonna be Philly. That O line is terrible. Like I didn't have the Jets making the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers for the simple fact that I knew they were gonna get manhandled up front.
Yeah,
Jalen Carter is gonna terrorize the middle. Oh. Yeah, you could roll out the pocket, but you're just gonna run into Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat on the others. Like you're done. There's nowhere to go. You might as well pack your bags. Go on, get ready to follow your next game. Whatever you got to go do.
This is going to be a tough one for the New York Jets. It's going to be a tough one for the two quote unquote New York teams, but the forgotten New York team, one of Q's favorite teams, the Buffalo Bills. They're always forgotten, Q. They're never mentioned with the New York teams, but they're the only team that actually plays in New York, which is just, it's so interesting. But next up, we got, the two New York teams playing off. The New York Giants are headed to Buffalo, Sunday Night Football. The Giants are going to get smoked. If I'm the Giants, I'm resting Daniel Jones. I'm resting Saquon Barkley. I'm resting Andrew Thomas. I'm taking my ass whooping, live to fight another day. Bills win big.
That offensive line is atrocious. Like right now, without Andrew Thomas, they're really bad. And the Bills have one of the best, even though we're dealing with a lot of injuries, some of the best, pressure rates in the league. They get after the quarterback. Ed Oliver's still there. Gregory Rousseau, he will be back soon. He's not going to be back for this game. Von Miller's still there. AJ Epinesa, he's been trying to carry the load while people are out. It's a bad matchup right now because the defense is going to force a lot of turnovers, a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of short fields. The offense isn't injured. The Giants can't stop the Bills. The Bills would stop themselves before the Giants stopped them. That's all I'm worried about. The line is kind of that's a two score line. It should be 14, but I wish it was like 7.5, maybe 10. Because if this was on a neutral field, they'd still be favored by 11. I think that's probably what they win by. They probably go up big and just probably run the ball out. No need to go try to run it up on the Giants. You don't got nothing to prove to the Giants. Yeah, Bills win this game.
I honestly expect the starters to be out of the game by the start of the fourth quarter for the Buffalo Bills. It's going to get out of hand. Like I said, just rest your players, Giants. There's no reason. Live to fight the next week against, I believe, the Commanders they have. I did just see a report, not today, but a couple days ago or yesterday it was. Mr. Josh Norman is back in Buffalo practice squad. I don't know if he's going to play. He's not going to do anything for you, man. He's not going to do it. I do feel bad though for that kid, Tre'Davious White. I mean, it just you tear your ACL 2 years ago. You're finally healthy now. You're a year removed from that ACL, or 2 years removed from the ACL. You're looking good, and then you tear your Achilles. And this kid's still in his 20s, and it looks like his prime might be gone within that. That just absolutely sucks for him.
Yeah.
Next up, the final game of the week, Monday Night Football, arguably the game of the week. All the eyes are going to be on it. The Dallas Cowboys are headed to Los Angeles, La La Land, and it's going to be filled with Dallas Cowboys fans to take on the Chargers on Monday night. The Cowboys are favored by -2.5. Q, who you got?
It's gonna sound bad after them getting whooped 42-10, but I'm going with the Cowboys. The Chargers still can't stop anybody. They definitely can't stop the run. Tony Pollard should have a big game. They don't have the pieces on defense in the back end to really compete with whatever Dak Prescott tries to do between Brandon Cook, CeeDee Lamb. Like Derwin James is cool, but Derwin James isn't going to be locking down any wide receiver. Asante Samuel, now he's thrust into the number one cornerback role. He gets had by the better wide receivers in the league, as he should, because he's really a cornerback too right now, today. And the defense is going to take a hit. Obviously, no Diggs, but they're still going to get after up front. Justin Herbert, based off just him as a talent and what he's doing with Keenan Allen, they should be able to still put up points because they always put up points. But that's going to come down to those few defensive plays that Dallas might come up with, like a scoop and score, whatever it is, short field, that's going to allow Dallas to squeak out with a win against a good team and, have everybody stop talking about them so bad for, at least a week.
So you got Dallas winning a close game? Yeah, listen, this is a mass. I alluded to it earlier. This is a massive game for Dallas. It's kind of a must win. They can't afford to lose this game. In terms of, ranking and in terms of just ridicule, you can't lose this game, man. You cannot. Like you said, you covered it a little bit. I expect the Dallas Cowboys offense to look a ton better against the Los Angeles Chargers defense that is just bad. They've got the names. We've gone over Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. They've got the names. They had J.C. Jackson. That didn't work out. He's back in New England. Funny how that works. But they can't stop it. They can't stop a nosebleed, Q. They can't do anything there. I agree with you. Tony Pollard should have a great day. CeeDee Lamb should have a bounce back week. He's been under 50 yards, I believe, the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep. So he should be back over that. They need to feed him early and often. Like the first play of the game,
he needs to get 10 at least. I need 10 targets. I need 10 targets within 3 quarters. I need him to get the ball, and I need Brandon Cooks. He still hasn't broken out as a Cowboy. We still haven't seen a vintage Brandon Cooks game. We're talking about 3 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. That's Brandon Cooks.
Using him. Either they're not using him right, or because I think he came into the season with a torn MCL. It's either that or they're not really using him right. But he's on the field. He's playing.
We're talking about a dude that basically went 7 straight years with 1,000 yards. Only reason why he really didn't have 1,000 yards last year because he didn't want to be there. He thought he was going to get traded to Green Bay. He didn't, and he was pretty much taking plays off.
Yeah, and
he should be getting some. He should be threatening the defense, and that should just further help CeeDee Lamb get everything in the middle open up for him. CeeDee Lamb should have a $110, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Chargers are, again, a team with a good defense that don't have a good defense.
Exactly.
They got a bunch of names. They don't got the play. So
Exactly.
do your thing.
It's either the first play or one of the first 3 plays of the game should be a target to CeeDee Lamb. Just straight off the bat, whether that be like a slant, screen pass, something, just get him open, dial it up for him, get the ball in his hands, get him some confidence. This is going to be a tough matchup for the Cowboys defense, though. No Trevon Diggs. Leighton Vander Esch is out for the season, looking like. And Kellen Moore, he knows this defense. Kellen Moore versus Dan Quinn is going to be a very interesting matchup. I know the Chargers are also missing their number 2 receiver in Mike Williams, but they drafted a receiver in the first round this year to hopefully replace one of them. Keenan Allen is playing outstanding football.
Great football.
He's also loving having Kellen Moore there too. Austin Eckler is back in the fold. He's going to be playing this week. I'm very interested, but I do think Dallas Cowboys should win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. Give me the Cowboys to take it home and get a dub to move to 4-2 on the season, and that is going to wrap up Week 6 Pick'em Q. You still have time for me? You want to do the NBA players list, or?
Yeah, we can get into that. We can get into that.
Word. Let me pull that up. Actually, you know what's funny? I saw right as we started recording Q at 9:06 a.m. the top 10 players was revealed. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right, so I'm about to show you right now live reactions to it. Let me just write that. Where are we at? 146. Okay. ESPN has released their top 10 players ranked coming into this season. Here we go. Starting off at number 10, Anthony Davis. Number 9, LeBron James. Number 8, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
What?
Number 7, Kevin Durant.
ESPN is not serious.
Number 6, Jason Tatum. Number 5, Steph Curry. Number 4, Luka Doncic. Number 3, Joel Embiid. Number 2, Nikola Jokic. And number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
All right. I got a lot. I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
Jokic is the best player in the league.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a huge gap, but definitely Jokic is number 1 in the league.
Yeah.
Number 2 and 3, in any order you have, it should be Giannis or Steph.
Mm-hmm.
I think Steph has proven that when he's like the main focus, like when he has to carry a team, he's putting up amazing numbers. Like the last couple of years, he kind of some injury here and there, but he just came off basically a semi-deep playoff run and a chip. So I think you got to give that respect. Between 4, 5, and 6, it's any combination of Luka, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum. I understand Joel Embiid just won an MVP. We know he should have won MVP. And he doesn't, playoff-wise, he doesn't produce like as a top 5 player. Like he just doesn't. I understand people might say Kevin Durant doesn't, but Kevin Durant has a long history of being a consensus, like basically top 6 player lock. Like injury-wise, even with the injuries, I probably still take the 50 games I get from Kevin Durant in the regular season plus playoffs, and then him being ready for the playoffs over Joel Embiid, because we've seen Joel Embiid just not show up. Like that he don't show up. He doesn't. It's something he just doesn't get there. Like I just don't think we can do it.
Whether it be injuries or him just not showing up.
Yeah, LeBron, I understand. He's 38, 39, 40, 50, whatever you want to say. I don't think there's 7 players in the NBA definitively better than him.
No.
Like there's a top 5 that's better than him, like for sure. Like Giannis, Jokic, Steph, Luka, for sure. Those 4 are for sure better than LeBron James. After that, I can argue that LeBron James is just better. Like he affects the game more than those players, because is he a better scorer per se than Kevin Durant? No. But he impacts the game different, especially with his passing. Same thing with
offensive player.
You feel me? Same thing with Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, he can score, but he doesn't score and facilitate the way LeBron James does.
Yep.
Same thing with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid does not facilitate like LeBron, and
Mm-hmm.
LeBron can score. Joel Embiid 30 points per game. LeBron, we acting like he's 22 points per game. LeBron is still 25, 26, 27, 28 points per game. He just averaged 30.
Yeah, 8 and 8 too.
Like
I listen. I hear you, man. I even think that there's an argument LeBron James is top 5. Like if you even get with Luka, similar players offensively, but even defensively, even at 38, 39 for LeBron, I'm taking that guy in the playoffs in the moments over Luka defensively. So right there, I would even take LeBron over Luka. Like I truly would.
And I skipped over the egregious thing. Like I'm an SGA guy. I love Shea. He's not better than these players right now. If you want to give him the great season last year bump, he's anywhere from 11 to 18. Like he has to be in that teen range. There's things you still have to come do to get into that top 10. Like you got to see multiple playoff appearances in a couple, like at least some good showings in the playoffs. I need like at least 2 times in the playoffs you do something for me. Shea hasn't done that yet. He hasn't had a great season. Let's build on that before we make him a top 10 player. That's just crazy.
Agreed. Yeah, the Shea one I think is the most egregious. Where it's like, I mean, he's got the talent, right? But there's also got to be something to winning. You have to win. You have to perform consistently in the playoffs, and just he hasn't done that yet. He's still really young. Nobody's saying he won't do it. He was just saying he hasn't done it yet. So you got to do it before exactly. So Tatum at 6, I think is a little much. For me, he's at like that 10, 9, 10 range for me. And here's a guy that I actually, and I know he's dealt with the injury, so it's kind of hard for me to, put him in there. But I still have him. Is Kawhi Leonard, because I know when Kawhi is healthy, he's a top 5 player in the league when he's healthy. Like that. That's just I truly do believe that. He just hasn't been healthy to show you that. In the past year and a half. I'm hoping he's able to do that this year, so we can start getting more talking points about Kawhi. But 100% agree. Jokic is the best player in the world. He proved it. You got to give him that. I mean, listen. Giannis just got knocked out in the first round. Like, I know he was injured. I know he didn't play the entire series.
Though. Like, yeah, it's not like he was injured for the series. He was injured for a game.
So you have to put Jokic went through the entire season. He went through the entire playoffs. You got to give him that nod there. Embiid, not a top 5 player. He's also like that 9-10 range with Tatum. And I hear you on he shouldn't have been MVP. I hear you that I had Jokic as my MVP, but I was fine if Embiid won it.
I don't care that he won it. It's cool. He needed one. Like he's been in the running for a couple years now. Let's just give him.
It felt like that. It felt like we got to just give him this one. Because we've kind of
I do appreciate the Anthony Davis love. Anthony Davis, before 3 years ago, he was before the Lakers, he was almost a consensus top 5 player. Yeah. Then he got to the Lakers, they immediately won a chip, and he was basically almost still in that conversation.
Yep.
He dealt with a lot of injuries, and people don't like to talk about it, but like a lot of teams that played deep runs in that bubble era, since they had a quick turnaround, people didn't get the proper rest that they needed. So you seen Anthony Davis deal with certain injuries. Jamal Murray dealt with certain injuries. Like it took a lot. It took a while to get back from that. Yeah. Anthony Davis was basically the best defender in the NBA all of last year. Like I understand Jaren Jackson won the Defensive Player of the Year, but he doesn't do what Anthony Davis does for the Lakers defense. Like,
yeah, and think about when you just said that. AD was the best defensive player in the league last year, and I agree with that. And I think a lot of people agree with that. And Jokic cooked his ass. He couldn't hold a candle to Jokic. Like that you got to put Jokic again. That just speaks to Jokic's greatness, and you got to have him as the best player in the world, because I don't think Giannis would have done that to Anthony Davis. But yeah, this go ahead.
I was about to say, nah, he wouldn't have. Like we've seen that matchup a lot. Giannis, AD, be right in his, right up with him. Like he's seeing him at the rim every time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the top 10 list. Was there anything you wanted to say about the top, the 11 through 50? Anything that popped off in your head?
One, we gotta stop overrating Mikal Bridges.
Where is he
He's a
ranked on this? Where is he?
he's definitely ahead. They got him ahead of John Morant and Kyrie Irving. I think like at like 31 or something like that. He's not better than John Morant and Kyrie Irving. John Morant was a top 15 player just last season.
Oh yeah, they have him at 33. He's ahead of Kyrie at 34 and Ja at 35.
Yeah, John Morant just last season was a top 15 player.
Yeah.
A lot of that this bad ranking of John Morant is just off court stuff. I understand the off court thing, but on the court, John Morant's a top 15 player, like basically.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving came off a 50, 40, 90 season. He's better. Mikal Bridges is not nowhere near a 1. He's not a 2 either. We know Kyrie Irving's a 2 on a championship winning team.
Yep.
Mikal Bridges can't you've seen him score these buckets for the Nets at like a 25 point per game clip as a third option with no real ball handling. He's getting pinned downs and everything he's getting is assisted to him. He doesn't create offense. His buckets aren't important. Like they don't change the flow of a game. I'm gonna take Kyrie's 25 points per game before I take Mikal Bridges' 25 points per game because it's a different aspect to it. He's not that guy yet. And Anthony Edwards, there's nothing on paper that should tell you that Anthony Edwards is better than Damian Lillard, Paul George. Like he averaged like 24, 5, and 5 on average to below average efficiency. A lot of the Anthony Edwards ranking come from projecting that he's going to be this superstar. He's not the superstar yet. Like let him do it first. There's no reason why you should think he's one of the 13 best players in the NBA. He ain't that yet. Like he just not.
I 100% agree with that sentiment. The putting the cart before the horse in the sports realm, in both in all sports realms. They always do that nowadays. Like I've been tweeting about it lately. The microwave culture is really, really seeping into the sports culture, where it's just we got to push this guy now, or we got to push this guy out now, before really letting it develop and really seeing what this person or player is. Right. I hear you there, Ant. I think we all agree he's got top 10 talent, and we expect him to be there one day. But one day is not today because he hasn't done anything yet. You got to do something to be in there. And he hasn't. Damian Lillard has done stuff. Donovan Mitchell has proven himself. Ja proven himself. Kyrie proven himself. I'm looking at it. How the fuck is Paulo Banchero 30th? The Orlando Magic? What?
We expect these players to be what we said they were coming into the draft or whatever it is, and we're seeing the play style, and we're seeing them points, and you're seeing the stats, and you're like, he should take a jump. Yeah, he should. Can you let him take the jump before you rank him?
Yeah, wait.
Because you're going to be in for disappointment when you go into the season and Anthony Edwards averages the same 24 points per game, same 5 rebounds, below average playmaking at 4 assists, only because he has the ball in his hands a lot, on 50%, like 54% true shooting, which is not good. That's actually below average. And you're gonna be like, damn, he ain't really do nothing. Yeah, because you waiting for him. You trying to hype him up and make him this top 15 guy. He ain't there yet. Let him get there. Let him run through a playoff. Let him go through a deep playoff run and really prove himself. He hasn't done it yet. He was an all-star replacement last year. Yeah. Like, you know how many players in the league could put up basically what he put up last year? A lot.
I mean, I'm just looking at this like De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox was all NBA.
If you were gonna I don't want to say overrate somebody, but if you were gonna push somebody ahead, De'Aaron Fox is the guy to do it because he, they went in the play. I know they got bounced in the first round, but it was a hell of a competitive series. He injured his finger towards the end of it, which definitely compromised his ability to shoot, especially that game-winning shot that he took at the end of that. Sabonis, how the fuck is Sabonis ranked ahead of De'Aaron Fox? De'Aaron Fox is the guy that makes that team go. We saw them playing off Sabonis 15 feet.
De'Aaron Fox was an all-NBA player. He was considered a top 15, a top 6 player at his position at guard in the league.
Statistically,
Anthony Edwards was not. How is Anthony Edwards better than him?
I don't know.
I'm not saying it's a huge gap, but at least we've seen De'Aaron Fox, get the accolade and the representation that he should be up there.
Mm-hmm.
But
And it's not
hey,
done that yet. And it's not done that yet. Yeah, 100%.
call me
I don't know
crazy.
how. I don't know how Drew Holiday is 26th. He's a 3 on a championship team. I mean, we've seen him as a 2. He was nothing as a 2. He
It's because
can't create.
everybody loves Drew Holiday, but everybody doesn't love Drew Holiday when it comes like playoff time when he's turning the ball over and he can't shoot.
Yep.
He's a very good player. There's a lot of players that you're going to take ahead of Drew Holiday.
Yeah,
It's just a
exactly.
fact.
You're going to take a Kyrie Irving. You're going to take a John Morant. You're going to take a Jalen Brunson. You're going to take these guys because just what all those guys can do: create from themselves, score. Like that's the most important. I love defense. But if you offensively are called upon to now be the number 2 because Chris Middleton is down, and you're failing to do so, then you're showing me that you are the 3, which is fine. So then you can't be put ahead of guys who are 2s or 1s on their certain team.
Exactly. There's no third guy that should be ranked ahead of guys that are 2s and 1s. Like that's just the math don't make sense. Like it just doesn't.
Make it make sense. It don't make sense. But yeah, that's anything else you want to say about the list to wrap it all up, or
People just gotta take a step back. People just gotta take a step back and really evaluate what they're looking at.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy that falls for like one hit wonders. Like I have to see it at least 2 times. Like I have to see it twice before I start saying things. Like that's just always been me. Like, and I haven't seen it with a lot of these players that they putting up yet. Even if I like them, like SGA, I like SGA. I got to see it again. I know he could be up there. I just got to see it. We don't just because we know it don't mean it's true. Like, let's get the evidence first.
Yeah. Let's let everything happen and then we evaluate before saying, "Oh, this is going to happen because I want to be." Oh, I first guessed it. That doesn't have to be the case. It just take your time, relax. Like Mr. Aaron Rodgers said, RELAX, relax, everybody. But that is going to wrap up episode 132 of the Wise Guys podcast. Thank you for joining us today. If you watched till the end, if you're watching right now, please give us a thumbs up, like the content, subscribe if you are new, click the notification bell to be notified whenever we go live or whenever we post a video or a short. Comment along with us. Tell us your opinions and thoughts on what we discussed today. Share the content with some people. Let people know about us. And don't forget, follow my guy Q on Twitter. Link is in the description. Go subscribe to his podcast, the Next Man Up podcast. Link is also in the description. Go follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Links are in the description. And go follow the Wise Guys platforms on all social media platforms. The links are also in the description. But thank you for joining us. I have been Brandon Capozziello. That was my boy Q. And we outie 3 thouty. Stay close.